Just because I plan to be a millionaire in my 30s doesn't mean that I don't need to have a roof over my head, food in my stomach, and maybe some other nice things. Hello and welcome to the first Transfer Tuesday of my channel. For the 1.9%-ish of you who are subscribed, a very special welcome back. And to those who are new to this channel, I'm Raymond, a software engineer on the path to financial independence and retiring early in my 30s. If you think that journey is something that you'd like to follow me on, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, so thank you so much in advance. Without further ado, let's take a look at how much I made in the last 2 weeks, how much I spent in the last 2 weeks, and where the rest of that money is going. Let's start with the income, and let's start with the stuff that's relatively automatic. For my 401k, I added $1,277.07. This doesn't include my employer match, but due to the kind of iffy terms of their vesting schedule, I'm not really counting for that within any of these videos. For my health savings account, I added $131.25. This is on track to, with the help of my employer, fill up my health savings account by the end of the year, but if something else happens, I can always add to it later on myself. And finally, for my take-home pay, my actual paycheck, the one that actually landed in my account, I took home $1,753.79. This is a little bit higher than what I expected, and I'm guessing that that's probably because of the income tax changes a little bit in the new year for 2024, but there will be changes made to that I'll talk about later in this video. Another thing that I earned in this past 2 weeks were about 44 subscribers. And if you've been enjoying this video so far, and if you enjoy this type of content, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Next, let's talk about where I'm spending my money. The biggest thing at the start of the month by far is rent. It says $1,603.26, but this also includes the stuff like last month's utilities and things like that, which I already account for in my previous month's budget. So in this case, I am paying $1,579 for my base rent, as well as some other things added on top of it, because that's what apartments do nowadays. In terms of groceries and necessities, I spent $73.53 on Walmart. That's my groceries for a week, as well as $16.23 on Amazon. This was to stock up on my moisturizer, which unfortunately just ran out, so that's how it is. Another big ticket item is paying back my hospital debt, and unfortunately, my one unfortunate run-in one night in the ER has nearly brought me to financial ruin, and maybe I'll talk about that in the future. But in this case, I am paying $101.80 to one company and $56.27 to a different company, which are a part of the same hospital. It's weird, but I guess that's how it works here in America. Finally, I spent about $2.50 on transit. This was to get home from the airport. I don't have a car, so I need to have a little bit more creative ways in order to actually get from point A to point B, but I make it work and I spend a lot less money than I do if I owned a car. Adding it all up, if you count my 401k and my HSA, I earned a net of $1,332.79 this month. But of course, that 401k and HSA money isn't necessarily mine, right? So if we're looking at just raw numbers, I'm actually negative. And this is actually pretty typical for what I do every single month. So I kind of intentionally rent burden myself. And what I mean by that is that my first paycheck pretty much all goes to rent and other necessities that I can't live without. This brings me down to usually zero or sometimes even negative, in this case, negative $75.54. But I assume that there is going to be a second paycheck of the month. And if there isn't, then I have other ways of accessing the capital that I need and basically to pull a big emergency stop on all of my finances if that is the case. So is it a little bit risky? Probably, but is it worth it to pad my retirement accounts? I think so. So let's talk about the two big changes that I've made for this paycheck period moving forward. The first one is increasing my 401k contribution. As you may recall from the start of the video, I said that I took home a little bit more money than I expected. And in order to change that, well, in my case, fix it, I'm actually going to be increasing my 401k contributions. I currently put in 35% of my paycheck to my 401k, and I'm gonna be increasing that to 38%. This brings me back down to my expected paycheck amount, or at least close to it, around 1600, 1650 something, 1680 something. And that'll bring me back to where I was previously in the previous year. But this time I'll have a little bit more extra going into my 401k every single paycheck. And this is really exciting because that means that I can max out my 401k and get to the good part. The next thing that sort of came up a little bit unexpectedly is that I am now kind of in the market for a new smartphone. Not exactly right away, but very, very soon. And this has been a little bit unexpected. So the smartphone that I have currently, which is coincidentally the phone that I'm recording this video through, has been kind of janky lately. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back, so to say, is when it started rebooting randomly, and it seems to be a problem that might be intrinsic with the phone. So I'm probably going to have to upgrade, not necessarily immediately, but very soon. But what that really means for me is that I'm going to be starting a fund dedicated to my smartphone, my future smartphone. And what that also means is that I'm going to be cutting back on my expenses pretty aggressively in order to get this phone as soon as possible. It isn't a really big deal that the phone restarts randomly now, but it is annoying, and I'm a little bit unsure about how long it can still hold up. But those are my updates, and that's how much I earned and how much I spent and where the rest of the money is going for this Transfer Tuesday. If you enjoyed this video and if you value my transparency, feel free to drop a like. If you really enjoyed the video and like to follow me on my journey, feel free to hit that subscribe button. But in any other case, I'll see you all for the next video.